is Lee crying today? Well, because I just bought a car this morning and I learned it doesn't have cruise control. I literally can't drive without cruise control.
Guys, it's not often that I see a TikTok that actually manages to scare me. You know, occasionally I'll see one of those videos where like somebody misses a baseball and the baseball comes flying at the screen. And yeah, once in a blue moon, those will make me tinkle my pants. But these days, I feel like we've sort of grown accustomed to everything on TikTok. You know, things don't usually jump out at you when you're on TikTok because it's just what you're expecting. There's exceptions to every rule, however, and today is one of those. Guys, I've got to be honest. I think that we hand out driver's licenses a little bit too easily in this country. I think as we've hit a point where every single living person right now has been alive during a time in our history where cars are just like a normal day-to-day thing, at least in America, people have sort of begun to believe that like having a car and being able to drive it is a right. That being handed a piece of plastic when you're a teenager that says you can operate a 4,000-pound death machine is just part of the American experience. I'm like, look, I'm not necessarily gonna like fight back against that. I love cars. I think 16 is a fine age for most people to be driving. But like I said, I think we hand out licenses a little bit too willy-nilly. Okay, I'm not saying there needs to be like a fucking Navy SEAL training regimen, but in my state, I shit you not, I'm being 100% honest. When I took my driver's license test, I took 4 right turns around the police station and I parked the fucking car and they gave me my license. I'm not kidding. I swear to you, that's all I did. The person grading me could not have possibly cared any less about my actual ability to drive. Beyond making 4 right turns, I didn't even make a left turn. I did not even have to turn into traffic. And I parked the car, not parallel park, I just put it in the fucking parking lot. And they were like, yeah, that's all we need, you pass. Here's your license. And you know what? That's actually horrifying. That's terrifying. To know that the people around me driving lifted F-250s with 78 million lumen headlights on the front had to prove that they can turn a wheel to the right to drive those bitches through neighborhoods, that shakes me to my very core. And I think this very lax system of testing, you know, this mindset of like, you'll figure it out once you're on the road, leads to shit like what we're looking at today. I came across this TikTok the other day, and while it's nothing like earth-shattering, it's nothing heinous. It unlocked a new fear. Because at this point, I thought that we had sort of figured out all the kinds of bad drivers, or like all the things that people can do that make them dangerous on the road. Apparently, we're just getting started though. This TikToker named Lee made a video about how they bought a new car, and how they didn't realize until after they bought it that the car did not have cruise control, and how that's a pretty big problem because they can't drive without it. Not doesn't like driving without it, can't. And I've got to be honest, this is something I've never even considered being a thing for a person. Wanting a car with cruise control because it's nice on the highway? Absolutely. Needing a car with cruise control because you somehow cannot drive anywhere without it? I don't even really know what that could mean, but I guess we're about to find out. Let's begin. Please subscribe.
Why is Lee crying today? Well, because I just bought a car this morning from CarMax Chevrolet Trax 2019, and I learned it doesn't have cruise control. And you're probably like, why the hell are you crying over cruise control? Because I literally can't drive without cruise control.
Okay, so right off the bat, later they're going to say that they just assumed all cars have cruise control and that's why they didn't ask. But I mean, still, it just seems absurd to me that if you've somehow convinced yourself that you cannot drive without cruise control, that you would still ask, right? Like if this vehicle not having a certain feature makes it basically defunct to you, how do you not think to be like, well, I know that all cars have cruise control, but just to be certain, you know, that just seems like it'd be the first thing that comes out of your mouth.
And I'm going on a road trip next weekend for like 6 hours, and I'm not doing that trip without cruise control, and I just bought this car. So everywhere I look online says you can add that. A lot of Chevrolets don't have cruise control, but it's something you can add on the steering wheel. And so I ring CarMax, and I'm like, hey, I just bought a car from you guys, and I want to talk to the service center and want to know if cruise control is something I can add.
Okie dokie. So not trying to be too harsh on this individual, but I mean, I feel like this sort of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, how I think we're just handing out licenses a little bit too easily. I'm sorry, but to me, if a person doesn't even understand like what a factory option is for a car, like when you can't comprehend what Google means when it says that cruise control is an option or it's an add-on, to mean that it's something that's built in by the factory when a dealership or a person specs the car, not something you can actually just go like tack onto your car after the fact. I really question like your basic knowledge about vehicles, and I feel like there is a certain level of basic knowledge you should possess to be allowed to operate one. Like I feel like a person who doesn't know that probably doesn't know how to change a tire or know what all the warning lights mean. Like there is a certain level of knowledge that I think we should be equipped with as humans when you're operating a 5,000-pound hunk of metal that can obliterate any human in its path. I feel like that's pretty fair to say.
And they were like, no, we can't do that. And so then I called the Chevrolet dealership around, and she's like, that's not even possible. That's not a thing you can do. So now I'm confused, and I don't understand. And I don't want to have to I have 10 days to take this car back, but I don't want to take the car back because what are they going to give me? My old car? And I don't want that car. That car's a piece of shit. Who the fuck makes a car without cruise control?
Apparently Chevrolet, but I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to return the car. I mean, I'm assuming you would just get your money back and be able to put that towards a new car, one that does have cruise control. I don't really understand why, like, the assumption is that you'd get your old car back. Anyways, after that video sort of blew up, they released another one responding to some of the criticism that the first one drew.
This truly makes no sense to me. The amount of y'all that are like, I've never used cruise control in my life. What do you mean? You go on the highway and you press your foot on the gas and you keep your foot there for hours?
So if you go to the comments of the original video, there are some people who are pretending that cruise control is like public enemy number one. Like seriously, the comments are a bit dramatic, people acting like using cruise control is just asking to be in a traffic accident. But to answer your question, yeah. Not only because a lot of people just don't like cruise control, but as you've now realized, some cars don't have it. So that's kind of what you gotta do. Like, that's such a silly question. You just bought a car that doesn't have cruise control. What do you think the other option is? Anyways, this video continues talking about how, like, the reason that they were crying was not just because of the cruise control, it was an amalgamation of things, but it kind of gives off the impression that, like, the cruise control was not the end-all be-all. Like, it wasn't as big of a deal as that TikTok made it out to be, but then I found this one, which this one's from like a year ago, and it might be the most concerning one so far.
I've learned that apparently I'm like the only one in the world that uses cruise control, so I need to know, do you guys use cruise control? Because currently, my check engine light is on, and that disables cruise control in my Subaru for some reason, and I am struggling without cruise control. Let me paint you a picture. I'm 4'9", okay? So when I sit in my seat to drive, I have to sit on a pillow, a special pillow, and then I have to be pulled all the way up. So like the steering wheel is literally right here. If I get in a wreck, I'm dead, like immediately. The airbag's just gonna break my neck immediately. That's not the point. The point is that I'm so far up and high up that my feet don't reach the floor if I extend to the pedal. So when I extend my foot to the pedal, it's up in the air. So I'm just like pressing the pedal. I can't rest my foot at the bottom and like just casually press the pedal. I'm like up in the air pressing the pedal.
So just out of curiosity, because I was trying to get a visual here, I tried to find a video of them driving this car they're talking about, and this one in the background is just that. And personally, this doesn't really look like what's being described to us. This does not look like a person who's struggling to fit in their car and be able to operate it. This looks like a person who's maybe too comfortable operating a car. One hand holding a phone, one hand holding a drink. I don't know what's controlling the steering wheel, maybe their knees, but this is just a strange thing to try and fight so hard for. If you're truly so small and so dainty that you can't operate a car, maybe don't. But again, having a video on your TikTok where you're driving a car without any hands at all makes it seem like you're not actually having that big of an issue.
How do y'all drive longer than 20 minutes without cruise control? One, I get bored, I get tired, I'm over it, my foot's cramping. How do you stay at the same speed? Do you use cruise control? Because I do, and I am obsessed with it. I'm having a hard time, and I don't get it until Tuesday when I get my car fixed. I'm having issues. Driving 30 minutes to work every day with no cruise control on the highway, it ruins my morning. It completely ruins it. So basically, this is my question for you guys. Do you use cruise control? If you do you only use it on the highway? Because I use it literally everywhere I go. Doesn't matter where, if it's the highway or the fucking downtown, I'm using cruise control.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I don't even really know how that's possible. Like, based off the interior of the vehicle we just saw, it doesn't look like a car that would have like adaptive cruise control or like self-driving. So, I mean, it almost seems like more work to have to constantly reset your cruise control when you're going through downtown or like a neighborhood or something. It's also incredibly dangerous, especially if you can't fucking reach the pedals to stop yourself. You also get bored and tired. Take a fucking Uber then. Like, holy shit. I genuinely don't understand how people get to this point where they're comfortable going on a TikTok being like, hey, I'm endangering you, but it's because I'm so small and I get so tired. Like, holy shit, it's pathetic. Just goes to show that you never know who is driving around you, and you should never assume that you're safe on the road, because drivers like this are a lot more common than you'd think, unfortunately, and I don't think there's much we can do about it. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? I'm kind of curious curious to see what you guys think, because I know that there are certain states where getting a driver's license is a lot harder. And I know in other countries, it's like a whole thing. Like when I went to Germany and would talk to people, they were like, yeah, it's a multi-month long process. I was like, oh, I basically had to play Mario Kart for 6 minutes. So maybe based off where you're from, you may not agree with my sentiment, but I feel like we're giving them out too easily, guys. You should have to prove that you know like basic things about a car before you're able to operate one. I feel like that's not crazy. And like I said, I'm sure that's already the case in a lot of states, but I can guarantee you that it's not the case in a lot of them too. So be safe out there, guys. See ya.